Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are almost done with the Comedy of Errors, and a lot happened in yesterday's catch up. So I would recommend that you go back and rewatch that for the full thing because it gets all very confusing and very long. And today we've made it to Act 5, so there's even a little bit more catching up that needs to happen. So the long and the short of it is that Antipholus of Ephesus got arrested. He's being taken off to jail. Dromio of Ephesus had been sent for a rope, and we haven't seen him come back yet. Dromio of Syracuse turned into Antipholus of Ephesus' servant and ran to get bail money and then came back to get bail money. Adriana and Luciana have come back to help too. Dromio of Syracuse and Antipholus of Syracuse have gotten so tired of this whole thing that they have found a ship and they're going to sail away on it. And they got spooked by this courtesan who was like, I gave you this ring and you're supposed to give me the chain, so you need to give me either the ring or the chain, because she doesn't want to be out the $40 that the ring cost her in the first place. And Antipholus of Syracuse, who has the chain, doesn't want to give it to her. So in Act 4, Scene 4, which is the end of Act 4, we have Antipholus of Ephesus, and Dromio of Ephesus comes back in and he's like, here's the rope that you sent me for. And Antipholus is like, I didn't send you for a rope, I sent you for bail money, you're supposed to help me. And then Adriana and Luciana and this guy named Dr. Pinch come in because they're very concerned that Antipholus has gone crazy. And it takes about 2 sentences for Dr. Pinch to realize that, yes, Antipholus has gone crazy. So they start performing the exorcism on Antipholus of Ephesus, and Antipholus hits the doctor and all this back and forth. Finally, Antipholus of Ephesus is able to get Dromio of Ephesus to corroborate his story that he was locked out of his own house. Meanwhile, Adriana is able to get Luciana to corroborate her story that Antipholus actually dined at home yesterday and was not locked out of the house. So since they can't figure all of this out, they figure that Antipholus has honestly gone insane. So they tie him up, and they also tie up Dromio of Ephesus, and they decide that they need to take them off to the loony bin. So they get carted away, and Luciana and Adriana are like, oh, now what do we do? We have to deal with this. We have to get all this sorted out. And the whole thing about the chain and who's got the chain, and the courtesan wants her ring or her chain back. And then Dromio of Syracuse and Antipholus of Syracuse enter, and they have their swords drawn because they had been spooked by the courtesan before, who they thought was a witch, because she was like, give me back my ring or my chain. They have their swords drawn and they come in, and that scares all the rest of them, and they go running away. And Dromio and Antipholus of Syracuse look at each other and they're like, yeah, we really got to get out of here. And that's the end of Act 4, Scene 4, and the end of Act 4. So today we're in Act 5 with Angelo, who's the guy who made the necklace, and he had confronted Antipholus of Ephesus to get the money for the necklace, even though Antipholus of Syracuse is the one that has the necklace. So that's what led to the whole getting arrested thing. And Angelo really needs the money from this necklace because he owes money to another merchant who was supposed to have left town by now, but he's waiting to get paid. So at the beginning of Act 5, which there's no scenes in it, so we don't have to worry about the fact that he didn't delineate scenes, it's all just Act 5, Scene 1. We have Angelo talking to this other merchant and saying, look, Antipholus owes me this money, and he's supposed to give it to me. He was supposed to have given it to me already by now, so if you can wait just a little bit longer, I'll have it for you. I'm not trying to get out of it. And they see Antipholus of Syracuse start to approach, and he's wearing the necklace. So Angelo says, first he talks to the merchant, and then about halfway through the speech, he starts talking to Antipholus of Syracuse, and you'll be able to tell when. But he's the merchant is like, here he comes, and he's wearing the chain. And Angelo says, 'tis so. And that self-chain about his neck, which he forswore most monstrously to have. Good sir, draw near to me. I'll speak to him. Signor Antipholus, I wonder much that you would put me to this shame and trouble, and not without some scandal to yourself, with circumstance and oaths, so to deny this chain, which now you wear so openly. Beside the charge, the shame, imprisonment, you have done wrong to this, my honest friend, who, but for staying on our controversy, had hoisted sail and put to sea today. This chain you had of me, can you deny it? So he's basically saying, here he comes, and he's wearing the chain. Watch this. We're going to have a little bit of a conversation. Then he goes over to Antipholus, and he's like, so you're mocking me and shaming me and giving me a bad reputation amongst my colleagues, and saying that you don't have this chain, but now you're wearing the chain out in public. So did I or did I not give you the chain? Are you going to deny right now that I gave you the chain? And Antipholus is like, no, I'm not going to deny it. I never denied it. I obviously I have it. But then Adriana and Luciana come into the scene, and yeah, we're getting towards the end of the play, so things are going to get really loony from here on out, and we'll pause right here with the entrance of Adriana and Luciana and some others, and we will pick up there tomorrow. So, are you totally confused with all of the Antipholi and Dromios and missing props and misplaced props and all that sort of thing? I don't blame you. This particular play, it's much harder to hear somebody tell you about it or to sit down and read than it is to see a production. So if you have the opportunity to see a production online, something, whatever, I would recommend checking it out. It makes a lot more sense when you can see it as opposed to when you have somebody telling you about it. But I'm going to keep telling you about it until I get to the end. So I'll see you tomorrow for more. Mwah.